The great hall of Station Orionis hummed with nervous energy. 200 cadets stood in perfect formation, their bodies representing 30 different species from across the galaxy. Some stood on 2 legs, others on 4. Some had scales, others had fur or feathers. But they all shared one thing. They were the best warriors their worlds could offer. Tae-min wiped his sweaty palms on his uniform for the 3rd time. He stood near the back of the formation, trying not to feel small. At just over 6 feet tall, he was average for a human. But compared to the 8-foot Vexthor warriors with their thick armor-like skin, or the massive Krell with their 4 arms and stone-hard shells, he felt tiny. His friend Ji-won stood beside him in the observer section. She was not here to bond with a war beast. She was an engineer, not a fighter. "You look terrified," she whispered. "I am terrified," Tae-min whispered back. "What am I even doing here? You passed every test. You earned your place." "Barely." Tae-min watched as the alien cadets flexed their muscles and showed off their natural weapons. Claws, fangs, armor plating, toxin sacs. Humans had none of these things. They had soft skin that tore easily and bodies that broke if hit hard enough. 50 years ago, humans had joined the galactic community. They were still the new species, still proving themselves. The massive doors at the far end of the hall began to open. The room fell silent. Commander Dalrek stepped forward. He was Vexthor, nearly 9 feet tall with dark blue skin covered in natural armor plates. His voice boomed across the hall without needing any technology to amplify it. "Cadets of the Stellar Combat Academy, today you face the bonding ceremony. 15 war beast cubs will enter this hall. They will choose their partners. If chosen, you will bond for life. The beast becomes your brother, your weapon, your other half. The bond cannot be broken." Tae-min felt his heart pounding. War beasts were rare and powerful. They were intelligent, capable of tearing through starship hulls with their claws. A warrior bonded with a war beast became elite, respected across the galaxy. But no human had ever been chosen, not once in 50 years. "Remember," Commander Dalrek continued, "you cannot choose them. They choose you. Do not move. Do not speak. Let them see who you truly are." The doors opened wider. Tae-min heard them before he saw them. The clicking of claws on metal floors, low growls and curious snorts. Then the cubs entered. They were beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Each one was already the size of a horse, even though they were only juveniles. They looked like a mix between big cats and bears, with 6 legs and intelligent eyes that seemed to look straight into a person's soul. Their fur came in different colors, deep black, silver, golden brown, and one pure white. The cubs spread out, sniffing the air. They moved between the rows of cadets, studying each one carefully. Tae-min tried to stand straight, tried to look confident, but inside, he knew the truth. These magnificent creatures would never choose a human. The first cub, a massive golden male, walked straight to a Vexthor cadet named Korvan. The cadet was huge, covered in scars from training battles. The cub touched his nose to Korvan's chest, and light flared between them. The bond formed. Korvan grinned in triumph. One by one, the cubs made their choices. A silver female chose a Krell warrior with 4 arms. A black male chose a Sethric, one of the lightning-fast reptilian species. Each bonding brought cheers from the crowd. Each choice made sense. The beasts chose the strong, the fast, the naturally armed. Tae-min watched as the numbers dwindled. 13 cubs had chosen, then 14. Only 1 remained. The smallest cub walked slowly through the remaining cadets. This one had dark gray fur with black stripes. Its eyes were brighter than the others, constantly moving and analyzing. It stopped in front of a massive Vexthor female. She smiled, certain of her selection. The cub sniffed her once, then moved on. The cub walked past a Krell covered in battle honors. past a Sethric who had won every combat trial, past aliens whose names Tae-min did not even know, all of them impressive and powerful. The hall grew quiet. Where was the cub going? Then those intelligent eyes locked onto Tae-min. No, Tae-min thought. That's not possible. The cub walked directly toward him. Other cadets stepped back, expecting the beast to pass by the human to reach someone more worthy behind him. But there was no one behind Tae-min. He stood at the back wall. The cub stopped right in front of him. It was close enough that Tae-min could feel its breath, warm and smelling like metal and something wild. The beast's eyes stared into his, unblinking. "Hey there," Tae-min whispered, not knowing what else to say. The cub pressed its nose against Tae-min's chest. Light exploded through Tae-min's body. It was not painful, but it was intense. He felt something rush into his mind, a presence that was not his own. Emotions flooded through him. Curiosity, certainty, amusement, and something like affection. Then he heard a voice in his head, clear as day. "You are the one. You think different. I am Haru." The light faded. Tae-min stood there, his hand somehow resting on Haru's head, feeling the warm fur beneath his fingers. The bond was complete. The hall erupted in shocked murmurs. Cadets stared with open mouths. Instructors looked at each other in confusion. Commander Dalrek's face turned darker blue with anger. He stormed across the hall. "This is wrong. This is a mistake." Instructor Velmora, a bird-like Quillari with silver feathers, stepped forward. "The beast has chosen. The bond is complete. It cannot be undone. A war beast bonding with a human. It is a waste." Dalrek's voice echoed through the hall. "Humans are fragile. They have no natural weapons, no armor, no strength worth mentioning. That cub should have chosen a real warrior." Tae-min felt Haru growl low in his throat. Through their new bond, he felt the beast's anger at the insult. "It's okay," Tae-min whispered, though his own face burned with shame. Velmora's eyes narrowed. "Commander, the choice is made. The law is clear." Dalrek glared at both of them. "Fine, let them bond, but I give them 1 month before reality breaks them. Assign them to remedial training. When they fail, and they will fail, perhaps the beast will learn to make better choices in its next life." The ceremony ended in uncomfortable silence. Other bonded pairs celebrated and received congratulations. Tae-min and Haru stood alone as cadets gave them a wide space, as if weakness might be contagious. Ji-won rushed over as soon as she could. "Tae-min, that was incredible." "That was a disaster," Tae-min said quietly. He looked down at Haru, who sat calmly beside him. "Why did you choose me?" Through their bond, feelings came more than words. Images of Tae-min during training, not the strongest, but always thinking, always adapting, always finding new solutions when the obvious ones failed. A sense that muscles and claws were common, but something else was rare. "You will see," Haru's voice came into his mind. "They think strength is everything. They are wrong. We will show them." Tae-min swallowed hard. Every eye in the academy would be watching them now, waiting for them to fail. Commander Dalrek expected failure. Most of the cadets expected failure. Maybe they were right. But as Tae-min felt Haru's steady presence in his mind, felt the absolute certainty flowing from the beast, he made a decision. They wanted him to fail. They expected him to fail. So he would just have to prove them all wrong. "Come on, partner," Tae-min said quietly. "Let's go show them what a human can do." Haru's mouth opened in what might have been a smile, showing impressive fangs. "Yes, let us begin." The first week nearly broke them. Tae-min limped back to his quarters after another brutal training session. His muscles screamed with every step. Bruises covered his arms and legs in various shades of purple and green. Beside him, Haru walked with his head low, favoring his left front leg. That went badly, Taemin said. Yes, Haru agreed through their bond. Very badly. The other bonded pairs made everything look easy. In strength trials, Korvan and his beast Gore could move obstacles that weighed several tons. Taemin could barely push them. In speed trials, the Sethric pairs moved like lightning. Taemin and Haru came in last every single time. The worst part was the looks. Other cadets no longer bothered to hide their contempt. They whispered as he passed. Waste of a beast. The human should quit. Poor creature, stuck with dead weight. Jiwon met him outside his quarters with a medical kit. Sit down. Let me see those bruises. Taemin collapsed onto the bench. Jiwon began applying healing gel to the worst injuries. Her hands were gentle, but her face was angry. They are pushing you too hard. These tests are not fair. All the bonded pairs do the same tests, Taemin said. Exactly. All the tests were designed for Vexthor bodies and Vexthor tactics. Straight charges, brute force, overwhelming power. Of course you cannot compete when the game is rigged from the start. Taemin had thought the same thing, but hearing it out loud made it worse somehow. So what do? I cannot change the tests. No, but you can change how you approach them. Jiwon pulled out her datapad. I have been researching human military history back on Earth before we joined the galactic community. Humans were never the strongest predator. We did not have claws or armor or venom. But we survived. We thrived. You know how? How? We thought different. We used tools. We adapted. We worked together in ways other species could not. She showed him videos of ancient human warfare, soldiers using terrain to their advantage, traps and ambushes instead of direct charges, small groups taking down much larger enemies through coordination and planning. Haru's head lifted, his ears perking up as he watched the videos through their shared bond. This, the beast's voice came into Taemin's mind. This is why I chose you. What do you mean? Taemin asked aloud. Through their bond, Haru sent feelings and images. The other beasts bonded with strong warriors and fought using pure power. But Haru had watched the human cadets during basic training. He saw how they solved problems differently. They built things, changed things, adapted to challenges instead of just pushing through them. You are not weak, Haru said. You are different. Different is what we need. That night, Taemin could not sleep. He lay in bed, feeling Haru's steady breathing through their bond. The beast slept on the floor beside him, too large for any normal pet bed. His mind kept turning over everything Jiwon had said. The academy taught one way to fight, direct, powerful, overwhelming. But that was not the only way. Maybe it was not even the best way anymore. He reached for his datapad and began studying. Not the Academy's training materials, but human history. He read about ancient generals like Sun Tzu who wrote about winning battles before they started, about guerrilla fighters who defeated much stronger enemies, about endurance hunters who literally ran their prey to death over days and days of pursuit. Humans were persistence predators. They could not sprint fast, but they could jog forever. They could not hit hard, but they could think 3 steps ahead. They could not survive alone, but they formed bonds across species lines like no other creature in nature. The next morning, Taemin and Haru did not go to the standard training grounds. Instead, they went to the long-distance course that most cadets ignored. While other pairs practiced their charges and power moves, Taemin and Haru ran. They ran for an hour, then 2, then 3. Other species could sprint faster, but they tired quickly. Taemin's human body was built for endurance. His sweat cooled him efficiently. His tendons stored and released energy with each step. And Haru, smaller than other war beasts, was built for stamina over short bursts of power. By the 4th hour, Taemin was still running. Tired, yes, but still moving. We cannot out-muscle them, Taemin said between breaths. But maybe we can outlast them. Yes, Haru agreed. Keep going. They began training differently. While other pairs focused on strength, Taemin and Haru worked on endurance. While others practiced direct combat, they practiced movement and positioning. Jiwon helped design lightweight armor that did not slow them down. She built tools that gave them options: smoke grenades, climbing equipment, trap components. Instructor Velmora noticed. She watched from a distance as Taemin and Haru ran circles around the training ground, as they practiced moving through obstacles instead of smashing through them. As they worked on communication, with Taemin using hand signals and Haru responding instantly through their bond. One day she approached them during a break. "You are training wrong," she said. Taemin's heart sank. "Instructor, No, let me finish." Velmora's bird-like eyes studied them carefully. "You are training wrong according to Academy standards, but maybe Academy standards are also wrong." Taemin stared at her. "I have been teaching here for 20 years, Velmora continued. "Every year we train cadets the same way. We prepare them for fleet battles and honor duels, direct confrontation, overwhelming force. But the galaxy is changing. Pirates do not fight fair. Insurgents do not line up for honorable combat. They hit and run. They use terrain. They outlast their enemies." She paused. "They fight like you are learning to fight." "So what do I do?" Taemin asked. "You prove that your way works." Velmora handed him a data chip. "There is a pack hunting exercise next week. Every bonded pair must work together to track and capture a target in the simulation forest. It is designed to test standard pack tactics, coordinated charges, overwhelming the prey, following hierarchy." "We will fail," Taemin said quietly. "If you follow their rules, yes. So do not follow their rules." Velmora's beak curved in what might have been a smile. "Show them what a human and his partner can really do." The pack hunting exercise was a disaster. 20 bonded pairs entered the simulation forest together. The target was a mechanical prey animal programmed to run and hide. The goal was simple: use pack tactics to corner and capture it within 6 hours. Commander Dalrek led the exercise himself. He organized the bonded pairs into a standard formation: large, powerful pairs in front, fast pairs on the flanks. Everyone else in support positions. Taemin and Haru were placed at the rear with the youngest and weakest pairs. The hunt began. Dalrek's formation charged through the forest, following the prey's tracks. When they cornered the target in a ravine, Dalrek ordered the final charge. "Now!" he roared. "All pairs, forward!" The bonded pairs charged as one. The prey, as programmed, tried to break through the weakest point. It ran straight at Taemin and Haru. "Hold position," Dalrek ordered. "Do not let it escape." But Haru did not obey. Instead, the beast stepped aside. The prey ran right past them and escaped into the forest again. The formation collapsed in chaos. Dalrek's roar of anger echoed through the trees. The hunt continued for 2 more hours before they finally captured the prey. But the exercise was marked as a failure because they exceeded the time limit. Back at the academy, Dalrek called Taemin to his office. Korvan stood there too, his face twisted in anger. Gore, his beast, growled at Haru. "You disobeyed orders," Dalrek said, his voice cold. "You broke formation. You let the prey escape." "Yes, sir," Taemin said. "Why?" Taemin took a breath. This was it, the end of everything, but he was tired of pretending. "Because Haru does not follow pack hierarchy like other beasts, and I do not think like other warriors. We will always fail if we try to do things the standard way." "Then you will always fail," Korvan said. "War beasts follow the alpha. That is how packs work." "Maybe that is how Vexthor packs work," Taemin said quietly. "But human packs are different. We do not follow the strongest. We follow the smartest. We adapt. We change tactics when something is not working. Weakness, Dalrek said. Or flexibility. Taemin met the commander's eyes. Sir, I request permission to challenge for our right to continue at this academy. There is an old rule in the academy charter. Bonded pairs who fail basic requirements can compete in the gauntlet. 5 trials in 3 days. If we complete them, we earn our place here. Dalrek's eyes widened. No first-year pair has completed the gauntlet in 12 years? I know, sir. You will fail. The beast will suffer. You will both be humiliated. Maybe, Taemin said. Through his bond with Haru, he felt the beast's fierce agreement. But we would rather fail trying our way than succeed by being something we are not. Dalrek stared at him for a long moment. Then he nodded once. Your challenge is accepted. You have 2 weeks to prepare. Then we will see if a human and his beast can survive what real warriors face. Taemin and Haru left the office together. Ji-won was waiting outside with several other human cadets from the Academy's small human population. We heard, Ji-won said, and we are going to help you. For the first time since the bonding ceremony, Taemin felt something other than fear or doubt. He felt hope. The training room became their second home. Taemin sat cross-legged on the floor, surrounded by data pads showing different periods of human military history. Ji-won had gathered every file she could find about how humans fought wars before joining the galactic community. Ancient warfare, modern conflicts, everything. Haru lay beside him, his large head resting on Taemin's lap. Through their bond, the beast absorbed everything Taemin learned. It was one of the advantages of their connection. What one learned, both knew. Look at this, Taemin said, showing Haru images of ancient warriors. These people did not have armor plating or natural weapons. They were small and soft like me. But they conquered their entire world. Through the bond came curiosity. How? They never fought fair. Taemin scrolled through more files. They used ambush tactics. They attacked and ran away. They made traps and waited. They studied their enemies and found weaknesses. When they could not win with strength, they won with time. Persistence, Haru said. The beast had learned this word from Taemin's mind. It meant refusing to give up, continuing when others stopped. Exactly. Humans are persistence hunters. Our ancestors would chase animals for days, not fast, but constant, never stopping. The prey would run until it literally could not run anymore, and then the humans would catch it. Taemin ran his hand through Haru's fur. You chose me because I think different, so we need to fight different. Over the next week, they trained like no other bonded pair at the academy. While others practiced their charges and power moves, Taemin and Haru ran the long-distance course, 10 miles, 20 miles, 30 miles. Taemin's human body slowly adapted, building the endurance his ancestors had used to survive. Ji-won and the other human cadets helped however they could. They built lightweight equipment designed specifically for Taemin and Haru's new fighting style, smoke bombs that could hide their movements. A harness that let Taemin ride on Haru's back without slowing the beast down. Climbing claws that could help them scale walls and trees. You cannot fight stronger enemies directly, Ji-won explained as she adjusted the harness, so you need to control the environment. Make them fight on your terms, not theirs. One of the other humans, a cadet named Hyun, showed them videos of guerrilla warfare. Small groups of fighters taking down much larger armies. They never stood still, never fought where the enemy expected. Hit and run, until the enemy was exhausted. Taemin absorbed it all, but more importantly, he shared it with Haru through their bond. The beast began to understand human thinking, not just individual tactics, but the philosophy behind them. Your species is strange, Haru said one night as they rested. You were prey animals who became hunters. You were weak who became strong. You were alone who learned to bond with other species. Is that bad? Taemin asked. No, it is perfect. Through the bond came a feeling of deep satisfaction. The galaxy thinks strength is everything, but your species proved that adaptation matters more. You survived not by being the strongest, but by changing faster than anything else. Instructor Velmora visited their training sessions occasionally. She never said much, just watched with her sharp bird-like eyes, but Taemin noticed she took notes on her data pad. One day, she spoke. The first trial is arena combat. You will face a senior bonded pair in direct confrontation. Most challengers lose within 3 minutes. Who will we fight? Taemin asked. Korvan and Gore. Taemin's stomach dropped. Korvan was one of the strongest Vex-Thor cadets. His beast Gore was massive, easily 3 times Haru's size. In a direct fight, they would crush him. Velmora saw his expression. You cannot win with strength. So how will you win? That night, Taemin could not sleep again. He lay thinking about the problem. Korvan and Gore were stronger, tougher, and better armored. In every physical way, they were superior. So he could not fight them physically, he had to fight them mentally. The day of the gauntlet arrived. The Academy's main arena was packed with spectators, cadets, instructors, and even some civilians who had heard about the human attempting the impossible trials. Taemin stood in the waiting area, feeling Haru's steady presence through their bond. Nervous? Jiwon asked. She had brought his equipment, smoke bombs attached to his belt, light climbing claws on his gloves, and the riding harness secured on Haru. Terrified, Taemin admitted. Good. Fear keeps you sharp. She squeezed his shoulder. Remember, you do not need to be stronger. You just need to be smarter. The arena doors opened. Taemin and Haru walked out into the bright lights. The floor was a circle about 200 feet across, with obstacles scattered around, rocks, barriers, some small trees. One side had a water feature with a small pond. Across from them, Korvan and Gore entered. The Vex-Thor warrior was enormous in his combat armor. His beast was like a walking tank, all muscle and bone plates. Commander Dalrek's voice boomed across the arena. First trial, arena combat. Victory goes to the pair still standing after 30 minutes, or to whoever forces their opponent to yield. Begin. Korvan charged immediately. This was standard Vex-Thor tactics. Overwhelming aggression. Use superior strength to crush the enemy fast. Taemin ran the opposite direction. The crowd murmured in confusion. Some laughed. Running away? From the very first moment. But Taemin had a plan. He and Haru sprinted to the far side of the arena, putting as much distance as possible between them and their opponents. Korvan and Gore followed, but the massive pair could not turn quickly. By the time they adjusted direction, Taemin was behind a rock barrier. Coward! Korvan shouted. Stand and fight! Taemin threw a smoke bomb. Gray mist filled that section of the arena. Visibility dropped to almost nothing. Gore charged into the smoke, using his nose to track them. But Taemin and Haru were already moving, staying on the edge of the smoke cloud. Every time Korvan got close, they moved to a different position. 5 minutes passed. 10, 15. Korvan was getting frustrated. Stop running! Fight me! But Taemin would not fight. Not directly. Instead, he led them on a chase around the arena. Over obstacles, through the water, into and out of the smoke. Always moving, never stopping. Never standing still long enough for Korvan's power to matter. At 20 minutes, Taemin noticed something. Gore was breathing hard. The massive beast was built for strength, not endurance. All that armor and muscle required a lot of energy, and they had been chasing for 20 straight minutes. At 25 minutes, Gore was overheating. The beast's breath came in ragged gasps. Korvan looked worried now, his earlier confidence fading. Taimin and Haru were tired too, but they were built for this. Human stamina, steady endurance. They could keep going. At 28 minutes, Gore collapsed. The massive beast simply could not continue. His body temperature had risen too high. He lay on the arena floor, chest heaving. Korvan stood over his partner, rage and shame on his face. "This is not how warriors fight!" "No," Taimin said, breathing hard but still standing. "It is how humans fight, and it works." The buzzer sounded. 30 minutes. The trial was over. Dalrek's face was unreadable as he announced the result. "Technical victory. Taimin and Haru. By endurance." The crowd was silent. No one knew how to react. This was not how combat worked. The stronger pair should have won, but they had not. Velmora caught Taimin's eye from the instructor section. She nodded once, a small smile on her beak. 1 trial down, 4 to go. The second trial came the next morning, the hunt. All competing pairs had to track and capture a mechanical prey animal through hostile terrain outside the academy. The terrain included forests, rocky areas, and swamps. First one to capture the prey won. Other pairs relied on speed and strength, charging through the terrain trying to run down the prey through pure physical dominance. Taimin and Haru did something different. They tracked it. Taimin studied the ground looking for signs of passage. Broken branches, disturbed dirt, scratch marks on rocks. Human eyes were incredibly good at pattern recognition. He could see what others missed. Through their bond, Haru added his beast senses: smell, hearing, vibration in the ground. Together they built a picture of where the prey was going. Instead of chasing, they predicted. They ran to where the prey would be, not where it was, and they set an ambush. When the mechanical animal came through a narrow canyon, Taimin had already positioned rocks to block its escape routes. Haru waited above on a ledge. When it entered the trap, they caught it easily. They finished third. Not first, but respectable. And they used far less energy than the pairs who finished ahead of them. More importantly, they passed. The third trial was survival. 48 hours in a hostile environment with no supplies. The Academy transported all competing pairs to a planet with harsh weather, dangerous terrain, and limited food and water. This was where humans excelled. While other species struggled with the temperature changes and lack of resources, Taimin thrived. His human body could sweat to cool down or shiver to warm up. He could eat a wide variety of foods that other species found poisonous. He could go days without much water if needed, and he could work with his hands. He built shelter from branches and leaves. He found water sources by reading the terrain. He made tools from rocks and sticks. Other pairs tried to endure through toughness alone. But endurance was not about being tough. It was about being adaptable. On the second night, a storm hit. Rain poured down and lightning flashed. Several pairs had to activate their emergency beacons, admitting defeat to avoid serious injury. Taimin and Haru sat in their shelter, dry and comfortable. Well, mostly comfortable. Taimin had even managed to start a small fire using friction and dry materials he had stored before the rain started. "Your species is good at surviving," Haru said through their bond. "We had to be," Taimin replied. "We were not the strongest or fastest, so we learned to outlast everything else." When the 48 hours ended, Taimin and Haru had not only survived, but thrived. They had even helped rescue another pair who got trapped during the storm. They finished first. The crowd's attitude began to shift. At first, people had expected the human to fail immediately. Then they thought he was just lucky. But 3 trials, 3 successes. This was not luck. This was something else. 2 trials remained. The 4th trial was strategic command. Each competing pair had to lead simulated troops in a battle scenario. Instructors watched from the control room, grading not just victory, but how that victory was achieved. Taimin sat in the simulation chair, neural interface connecting him to the computer. Through his bond with Haru, the beast could also see the battlefield. They would make decisions together. Commander Dalrek stood in the control room with the other judges. His voice came through the speakers. "Your scenario. You command 50 troops defending a colony against 200 raiders. The enemy has superior numbers and firepower. Standard doctrine is to hold the main gate and bottleneck their forces. Prove you can lead. Begin." The simulation activated. Taemin saw the colony through the computer. A small settlement with a main gate, several buildings, and defensive walls. His 50 troops were stationed at the gate, ready to meet the enemy head-on. 200 raiders approached from the south. In a straight fight, Taemin's forces would be destroyed. This was a test designed for Vexthor tactics. Hold the line, use superior defensive position, trust in your troops' strength and discipline. It was about honor and courage in the face of overwhelming odds. But Taemin was not Vexthor. He was human. He pulled his troops back from the gate. In the control room, one instructor gasped. "He is abandoning the defensive position." "He is failing already," another said. But Velmora watched with narrow eyes, saying nothing. Taemin split his 50 troops into 5 groups of 10. He positioned them in buildings around the colony, not at the gate. Then he opened the gate completely. "What is he doing?" an instructor asked. The raiders charged through the open gate, expecting resistance. They found none. Confused, they spread out through the colony, searching for the defenders. That was when Taemin sprang his trap. The small groups attacked from the buildings, hit and run, fire and retreat, never staying still, never fighting fair. The raiders had superior numbers, but they were scattered and confused. They did not know where the attacks would come from next. Taemin's forces used the colony itself as a weapon. Narrow alleys that favored small groups over large forces, buildings that provided cover and height advantages, supply depots that could be collapsed on pursuing enemies. Within 20 minutes, the raiders had taken severe casualties. They had superior numbers, but they could not bring that strength to bear. Every time they gathered to push forward, Taemin's groups hit them from a different angle. The raiders' morale broke. They retreated. Taemin had won with minimal casualties to his own forces, but in the control room, the instructors were arguing. "This is not how the scenario should be solved," Commander Dalrek said. "He abandoned the defensive position. He refused direct confrontation. This is cowardice, not strategy." "He won," Velmora said quietly, "by using tactics that violate every principle we teach. He won with fewer casualties than any cadet has achieved in this scenario in 5 years, Velmora continued. His troops survived, the colony held, the enemy was defeated. Are these not the goals of warfare? The goals of warfare are honor, courage, and strength, Dalrek's voice rose. Not hiding in buildings and ambushing enemies like criminals. Perhaps the goals of warfare should be winning with minimal loss of life, Velmora said. Her eyes met Dalrek's. Commander, when did we start valuing honor over victory? When did we decide that dying bravely was better than living smart? The silence in the control room was heavy. Finally, the head judge spoke. The trial results are controversial. The human achieved the objectives, but his methods were unorthodox. We will mark this as a conditional pass. He may proceed to the final trial. Dalrek looked like he wanted to argue more, but he said nothing. Taemin removed the neural interface, sweat on his forehead. Through his bond with Haru, he could feel the beast's concern. Did we pass? Taemin asked aloud. Barely, came Dalrek's cold response over the speaker. One trial remains, the bonded maze. We will see if your tricks work when it is just you and your beast against the trials themselves. That night, the Academy was buzzing with conversation. The human had passed 4 trials. 4. No one had expected him to pass even one. Arguments broke out in the cafeteria, in training rooms, in dormitories. Some cadets admired what Taemin had done. Others called him a coward, but everyone was talking about him. Jiwan found Taimin in the observation deck, looking out at the stars. Haru lay beside him, the beast's head on his lap. "One more trial," she said. "The hardest one," Taimin replied. "The bonded maze has ended more challengers than all the other trials combined. It is designed to test the bond itself. If Haru and I cannot work together perfectly, we will fail." "You have been working together perfectly for weeks now." "Against external enemies, yes. But the maze tests something different. It tests whether the bond is real or just convenient, whether we trust each other when everything else is stripped away." Jiwan sat beside him. "You know what I think? I think Haru chose you because he knew you would never treat him as just a weapon or a tool. You treat him as a partner. That is rare here." Taimin looked at the beast. Through their bond, he felt Haru's agreement. "Tomorrow we find out if that is enough," Taimin said. The next morning, every seat in the arena was filled. Word had spread beyond the academy. The human who was attempting the impossible, the war beast who chose wrong. Their story had captured attention across the station. The bonded maze rose from the arena floor, a massive structure of metal and energy barriers, shifting walls and deadly traps. It was 50 feet high and over 300 feet across. Pairs entered at the bottom and had to reach the top. But the path changed constantly. What was safe one moment became deadly the next. Taimin and Haru stood at the entrance. Through their bond, Taimin felt Haru's determination. No fear, just resolve. "Whatever happens," Taimin said quietly, "I am glad you chose me." "I will always choose you," Haru replied through the bond. "Now let us show them what we are." The entrance opened. They stepped inside. The first section was relatively easy. Physical obstacles that required climbing, jumping, and balance. Taimin's human flexibility and Haru's strength complemented each other. They moved through it quickly. The second section had combat drones, mechanical enemies that attacked from multiple directions. Taimin and Haru had practiced this kind of fighting for weeks. Hit and run, never stay still, use the environment. They passed through with only minor injuries. The third section was puzzles, doors that only opened when two switches were pressed simultaneously in different locations, platforms that required precise timing to cross, barriers that needed both strength and intelligence to pass. This was where the bond truly mattered. Taimin and Haru had to coordinate perfectly, communicating through their mental connection. They worked as one. When Taimin needed to reach a high switch, Haru provided the boost. When Haru needed to time a jump perfectly, Taimin counted down through their bond. Neither commanded the other. They simply moved together, two parts of one whole. Then they reached the mirror hall. Every first-year pair that attempted the gauntlet failed here. The mirror hall was a section that literally separated bonded pairs. Physical barriers came down, cutting Taimin off from Haru. They could not see each other, could not touch. The bond remained, but everything else was gone. To proceed, each had to navigate their own section of the maze while coordinating with their partner through the bond alone. The sections were designed to require help from the other, doors that only the beast could open in the warrior's path, switches that only the warrior could reach that affected the beast's path. Complete trust was required. If either doubted the other, if either hesitated or made a wrong move, both sections would lock down and the trial would end in failure. Taimin stood in his section, feeling the barrier between him and Haru. Through the bond came concern from the beast. "I cannot see you," Haru said. "I know, but you do not need to see me. You know where I am. You can feel me through the bond." "Yes, I feel you. Then we do this like we do everything else, together." Taimin closed his eyes and focused on the bond. He could feel Haru's presence in his mind, as clear as if the beast stood right beside him. He could sense Haru's position, his emotions, even vague impressions of what Haru could see. "There is a door in front of you," Haru said through the bond. "I see the switch on my side. Tell me when to press it." Taemin walked forward carefully, using his hands to feel for obstacles in the darkness. "Wait! Wait! Now!" He heard the click of the switch through their bond. The door in front of him slid open. They worked through the mirror hall together. Every step required coordination. Every decision required trust. Taemin could not see what Haru faced, and Haru could not see Taemin's challenges. But through their bond, they shared information, supported each other, and moved forward. 20 minutes later, they emerged on the other side. The barriers lifted. Taemin stumbled forward and wrapped his arms around Haru's neck. "We did it," he said. "We did it," Haru agreed. But the maze was not finished. One final section remained, the summit. A straight climb to the top of the maze with no tricks, no puzzles, just pure endurance, 50 feet of climbing while exhausted, while injured, while every muscle screamed for rest. This was where most pairs failed. They had nothing left after the mirror hall, but Taemin and Haru had trained for this. Persistence, endurance, never giving up. They began to climb. Taemin's arms felt like lead. His legs shook with each step. Blood from small cuts made his hands slippery. Beside him, Haru climbed with 6 legs, but the beast was exhausted too. Every movement was effort. "Cannot stop," Taemin gasped. "Will not stop," Haru replied. They climbed, foot by foot, inch by inch. When Taemin's strength failed, Haru helped him. When Haru struggled, Taemin encouraged him through the bond. The summit seemed impossible far away. Taemin's vision blurred with exhaustion. He could not feel his hands anymore, but he kept climbing. Because that was what humans did. They persisted. When stronger species quit, humans kept going. When faster species burned out, humans maintained the pace. Not the strongest, not the fastest, but the ones who never stopped. Taemin's hand reached over the edge of the summit, then the other hand. With a final effort, he pulled himself up. Haru climbed up beside him. They collapsed on the platform, completely spent. The buzzer sounded. They had completed the gauntlet. In the arena, the crowd erupted. Some cheered, some sat in stunned silence. This was not supposed to be possible. Commander Dalrek stood in the judge's box, his face unreadable. Instructor Velmora pressed the communication button. Her voice filled the arena. By completing all 5 trials of the gauntlet, the bonded pair of Taemin and Haru have earned their place at the Stellar Combat Academy. Congratulations. Taemin lay on the platform, too tired to move, feeling Haru's exhausted presence through their bond. They had done it. They had actually done it. But as he looked down at the crowd, he saw something that worried him. 3 more war beast cubs had entered the arena. Cubs that had not yet bonded. They were walking toward the human section of the crowd. The academy was about to change in ways no one expected. The medical bay hummed with activity as doctors treated Taemin's injuries from the gauntlet. Nothing serious, just cuts, bruises, and exhaustion. Haru lay beside the medical bed, refusing to leave his partner's side. Ji-won burst through the door, her face excited. "You need to see this. The entire station is talking about what happened after you finished." "What happened?" Taemin asked, wincing as a doctor applied healing gel to his hands. 3 more war beast cubs chose humans. 3. There is a Vex Thor instructor calling it an invasion. Commander Dalrek tried to stop the bondings, but Instructor Velmora cited Academy law. The choices were valid. Taemin sat up despite the doctor's protests. Who did they choose? Hyun from engineering got one. 2 combat cadets got the others. All humans. Ji-won's smile faded. But Taemin, there is a problem. The Academy Council is meeting right now. Some instructors want to change the rules. They want to prevent more beasts from choosing humans. They cannot do that, Tae-min said. The bonding ceremony is sacred. It has been the same for hundreds of years. They are scared. You proved that human tactics work. Now more beasts are choosing humans. If this continues, everything about how the Academy trains warriors will have to change. Through his bond with Haru, Tae-min felt the beast's concern. Change was coming, whether the Academy wanted it or not. Before he could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the station. Red lights flashed. The emergency system activated. All combat personnel to stations. This is not a drill. Repeat, this is not a drill. Tae-min jumped off the medical bed. The doctor tried to stop him, but he pushed past. I am a bonded warrior now. That means me too. He and Haru ran to the briefing room. Other cadets and instructors were already gathering. Commander Dalrek stood at the front, his face grim. We have received a distress signal from mining colony Theta 7. They are under attack by raiders. Multiple ships, coordinated assault. The colony defense forces are overwhelmed. I am taking a response team of our most experienced bonded pairs. Dalrek's eyes swept the room. Senior cadets only. This is real combat, not a training exercise. Instructor Velmora stepped forward. Commander, we should also... No. Dalrek cut her off. I know what you are going to say. The human pairs are not ready. They barely passed basic trials. I will not risk them in actual combat. Tae-min felt anger surge through him, mirrored by Haru's growl. They had proven themselves over and over, and it still was not enough. But Velmora was not finished. Commander, with respect, you are making a mistake. These raiders do not fight like honorable warriors. They use hit-and-run tactics, ambushes, guerrilla warfare. Exactly the kind of combat the human pairs have trained for. We use overwhelming force. That is how you defeat raiders. Is it? Because we have been using overwhelming force for 10 years and the raider problem keeps getting worse. The room fell silent. Everyone knew it was true. Pirate attacks were increasing. Standard Academy tactics were not working. Dalrek's jaw tightened. Fine. The human pairs can come. But they stay in reserve. At the first sign of real danger, they retreat. Understood? Tae-min nodded, knowing it was the best they would get. 20 minutes later, they were on transport ships heading to the mining colony. Tae-min sat with Haru, checking his equipment. The lightweight armor Ji-won had designed. Smoke grenades, climbing gear. Everything they had trained with. Around him, the senior Vex-Thor pairs prepared their heavy weapons and armor. They looked confident, ready for a straightforward battle. Through his bond with Haru, Tae-min felt unease. Something is wrong. What? Haru asked. This feels too easy. Raiders are not stupid. They know attacking a colony this close to the Academy will bring a response. So why attack here? A trap? Maybe. The transports arrived at the colony to find chaos. Buildings were burning. Civilians were evacuating to shelters. But strangely, there were not many raider ships visible. Commander Dalrek's voice came over the communication system. All pairs deploy. Standard search and destroy formation. Find the raiders and eliminate them. The bonded pairs spread out through the colony. Tae-min and Haru were assigned to the rear, as promised. But as they moved through the burning streets, Tae-min's unease grew stronger. The raiders are gone, he said to Haru. Look at the damage. This attack ended at least 30 minutes ago, but the distress signal was only sent 20 minutes ago. Then where are the raiders now? Tae-min pulled up a map of the area on his datapad. The colony, the Academy station, and his blood went cold. The medical station. There is an automated medical station 15 miles from here. It is normally staffed but was evacuated yesterday for maintenance. It is full of valuable medical supplies. A target, Haru said. A better target than this colony, and it is undefended because everyone came here. Taemin switched to the command channel. Commander Dalrek, this is Taemin. I think the colony attack was a diversion. The raiders' real target is static. The communication was being jammed. They cut us off, Haru said. Taemin made a decision. We need to get to that medical station now. If the raiders take those supplies, they can sell them for millions. We cannot wait for orders. He switched to a different channel, one that reached the other human pairs. This is Taemin. I think the medical station is the real target. Anyone who can hear me, we need to move now. Hyun's voice came back. We hear you. My partner and I are closest. Heading there now. 2 other human pairs confirmed they were coming. Commander Dalrek will not like this, Haru said as they ran toward their transport. I know, but he will like losing that medical station even less. They reached the medical station 15 minutes later. Taemin's worst fears were confirmed. 3 raider ships were already there, and raiders were loading supplies onto cargo sleds. But there were a lot of them. At least 40 raiders, all armed and armored. Taemin and the 4 human pairs took positions in the surrounding buildings. 5 pairs against 40 raiders. Terrible odds by any normal measure. But Taemin was not thinking normally. Listen, he said over the private channel to the other humans. We cannot fight them directly. We do not have the numbers or firepower. But we do not need to win. We just need to hold them here until the commander arrives with the main force. How long? Hyun asked. 20 minutes. Maybe 30. That is a long time to hold against those numbers. Then we do not fight fair. We use everything this place gives us. Ambush points, choke points, hit and run. Make them scared. Make them confused. Make them think there are more of us than there really are. Through his bond with Haru, Taemin felt the beast's fierce agreement. This was what they were made for. The raiders never saw the first attack coming. Smoke grenades filled the area. When they tried to organize a response, attacks came from 3 different directions at once. Small, fast strikes that disappeared before the raiders could return fire effectively. The raiders had superior numbers and firepower, but they could not bring it to bear. Every time they gathered to push forward, another attack came from a different angle. The human pairs were everywhere and nowhere, constantly moving, never standing still. 10 minutes passed. The raiders were frustrated and angry. They had come for easy supplies, not a guerrilla fight. 15 minutes. The raiders began to panic. They could not see their enemies clearly. How many were there? Where would they attack next? 20 minutes. The raiders started falling back toward their ships. This was not worth it anymore. Then Commander Dalrek arrived with the main force. The raiders found themselves trapped between Dalrek's heavy assault force and the human pairs who had been harassing them. Caught between overwhelming power and chaos, they broke completely. Those who could reach their ships fled. The rest surrendered. Commander Dalrek stood in the medical station afterward, surveying the scene. Not a single human pair had taken serious injury. The supplies were recovered. The raiders were defeated. He looked at Taemin for a long moment. You disobeyed orders. You left your assigned position. Yes, sir. You identified the real target when I did not. You held this position with only 5 pairs against 40 raiders. You prevented a major loss. Dalrek's expression was complicated. My tactical assessment was wrong. Yours was correct. Before Taemin could respond, one of the captured raiders spoke up, blood dripping from his mouth. You think you are clever, human? We have been watching you. All of you. The Academy teaches the same tactics over and over. Predictable. Easy to counter. He spat. That is why we win. Your strength is useless when we know exactly what you will do. The words hung in the air. Velmora arrived with additional medical teams. She heard the raider's words and turned to Dalrek. He is right. We have been training warriors for the last war, not the next one. Our enemies are adapting. We are not. Dalrek stood silent for a long time. Finally, he spoke. When we return to the Academy, I am calling for an emergency council session. It is time we discussed changes to our curriculum. 3 days later, the Academy Council met. The chamber was packed with instructors, senior staff, and observers. Taemin sat in the witness section, nervous. Instructor Velmora presented her case. For 20 years I have taught at this academy. We train excellent warriors, but the galaxy is changing. Our enemies do not fight the way we expect. They use tactics we do not teach our cadets to counter. Meanwhile, human cadets and their bonded beasts have shown a different approach. Adaptive, flexible, persistent. I propose we create a new curriculum track. Asymmetric warfare. The debate was fierce. Traditional instructors argued it would weaken the Academy's core principles. Progressive ones argued it was necessary for survival. Finally, they called Taemin to testify. He stood before the council, feeling very small. I am just a first-year cadet. I am not qualified to tell you how to run your academy, but I can tell you what I learned. War beasts do not choose randomly. They choose partners who will help them survive future threats, not past ones. Haru did not choose me because I was strong. He chose me because I think different. Maybe the beasts know something we do not. Maybe the galaxy needs different kinds of warriors now. He paused, gathering his courage. Humans were never the strongest species on Earth. We were not the fastest or the most dangerous. But we survived everything. Ice ages, droughts, predators, disasters. We survived because we adapted faster than anything else. That is what we can teach here, not to replace your traditions, but to add to them. Give your cadets more tools, more options, more ways to solve problems. The council deliberated for 3 hours. When they emerged, the head counselor spoke. By a vote of 7 to 5, the proposal is approved. We will establish a new department, Asymmetric Warfare and Adaptive Tactics. Instructor Velmora will serve as department head. The chamber erupted in mixed reactions, but it was done. As Taemin left the chamber, Commander Dalrek stopped him. I still believe in strength and honor and traditional values, but I also believe in winning battles and protecting people. If your methods work, they deserve a place here. He paused. I am transferring to the new department. Someone needs to make sure you humans do not forget that sometimes direct action is still the right answer. Taemin could not help but smile. Thank you, sir. Do not thank me. I will be the hardest instructor you ever face. 6 months later, the Stellar Combat Academy looked different. The new Asymmetric Warfare Department had 3 full buildings. Human enrollment had increased dramatically. War beasts choosing human partners was no longer shocking. It was common. But more importantly, cadets of all species were cross-training. Vexthor warriors learned human endurance techniques. Humans studied traditional honor combat. Sethric studied trap setting. Everyone was learning from everyone else. Taemin stood in the training yard, now helping to teach first-year cadets. Haru lay beside him, fully grown now and magnificent. Through their bond, Taemin felt the beast's contentment. A new group of war beast cubs was being brought to the academy for the next bonding ceremony. A senior Vexthor instructor approached Commander Dalrek, watching the cubs with worry. Commander, what if they all choose humans? Dalrek watched Taemin working with a mixed group of first-year cadets. Human and Vexthor and Sethric and Krell all learning together. Different species, different strengths, different approaches, but all working toward the same goal. His response was quiet but firm. Then maybe we have been choosing wrong all along. Warriors are not born strongest. They are born most adaptable. The beasts understood that before we did. He turned to walk away, then stopped and looked back at the instructor. Besides, it does not matter anymore which species the beasts choose. Look at those cadets. They are all learning from each other now. In 5 years, every graduate from this academy will fight like a human when they need to, and like a Vexthor when they need to, and like a Sethric when they need to. That is real strength, having every option available and the wisdom to choose correctly. Taemin noticed the two instructors watching and waved. Through his bond with Haru, he felt amusement. They had come so far from that first terrifying day when a beast cub chose a human and shocked the galaxy. Now, the galaxy was learning what Haru had known all along. Sometimes the best choice is the unexpected one. Jiwon walked up beside him, her own beast partner following her. A smaller cub that was brilliant at solving technical problems. Ready for the next class? Always, Taemin said. As they walked toward the new training building, more human transport ships appeared in the sky, bringing new cadets to the academy. The station was expanding to handle the increased enrollment. Haru's voice came through their bond. Are you happy with how things turned out? Taemin looked around at the busy academy, at the mixed groups of species training together, at the future being built one cadet at a time. Yes, he said. I think we changed something important here. You changed everything, Haru corrected. You showed them that different is not wrong. It is just different. And sometimes different is exactly what is needed. Above them, the Academy station gleamed in the light of the system's star. On its side, new words had been added to the traditional motto: strength through unity, victory through adaptation, honor through all. The beast cub had chosen the human, and the galaxy would never be the same.